Hi guys, it's Michael here from Mind Performance Health, the Physique and Performance Institute. And today I'm going to show you a specific nutrition technique. We use this technique to help clients improve their body composition, to improve their vitality, and also to keep consistent, as much as we can, consistent progress over a long-term transformation. Now, why is this important? We have clients come to us that stay in a deficit for just too long, and their thought process or their belief is that they just need to keep digging into a deficit to get the best results in terms of fat loss. What tends to happen though is what you need to realize: the body's very smart and it will adapt to whatever you throw at it. So if you have gone aggressively in a deficit for some time, you are going to decrease your lean body mass. You may lose muscle mass. You'll have higher stress. What will happen as well is you will plateau. Your metabolism is going to adapt to whatever level you're at. And if it's just too low and you don't have any more room to go, you're just going to plateau and get frustrated with the progress. This is one technique I'm going to show you of many that we use to help clients develop a better looking physique, more progress with the physique, have more energy, have more vitality, and ultimately have, once again, more progress with their physique journey. What I'm talking about is an actual maintenance finding phase, or a metabolic building phase as we call it. So what happens is we have a client come into us. Now, this is assuming, right? Assuming there's many ways to do this with calculations, but assuming that they've been quite consistent with their calories over time. You know, the nutrition literacy is pretty good. And what I mean by that is they know how to track, they track decently properly. It's not, you know, the behaviors and that and the values is definitely there to do this, all right? I look at this no different than like a martial arts, for instance, where you got to earn your stripes. You need to earn your stripes with nutrition techniques. And yes, it can yield you better results if you do so, all right? But you got to earn your stripes. You got to tick all the behaviors, tick all the values to make it happen. Now, this is just one technique that we may use, like I said. Now, I'm going to talk in the context of calories. I'm not going to give macro breakdowns and that in this video. So just think of it, the amount of food. Very simply, it's the amount of food, the amount of energy, and the way I'm going to discuss today. So, at what we do here with our as coaches, when we're looking, and a big question we get with clients is, how do I start my nutrition? All right, how do I start my nutrition if my goal is to improve body composition? Simply decreasing fat, building as much lean body mass as we can. Now, one technique that there's, like I said, many, but one technique that we do use to start is this metabolic building on actual maintenance finding. Now, simply, there is an amount of food. This is the line of an amount of food that you will plateau your fat loss with. Okay, meaning that if you go beyond it, you're going to gain fat loss. And if we go below it, we're going to gain fat loss. We're going to gain fat if we go above it, and we're going to lose fat if we go below it. Here is the hypothetical line where you're going to maintain your body fat levels. Now, in this kind of style metabolic building phase, actual maintenance finding phase, is we want to find that line. The reason for that is the closer you are to that line, the more energy availability you have, the more lean body mass potential you have, the more energy you have, the better looking physique, more strength you will have as well. Now, I'll cover what I mean by better looking physique in a second, but it gives you the potential to. And it gives us a reference point that we can work from to make adjustments with, easier as a coach or as for yourself. And also it builds up a base of energy where we can come down with, so we can come further down with, which then can, you know, limit plateau, which is important, right? If you start too low, your body's going to adapt and you may not have any room to come down with if you're too low in calories. So very simply, we may take here, we'll do all our, there's many different calculations, but we do our calculations. And let's say for myself, whose the goal here is to still lose body fat and build lean mass, we start myself in a 10% deficit, we do our calculations, and it may be around 3,200 calories we start in, okay? Now I'll use a different color for this one, but we start with 3,200 calories. All right, now we may start directly on maintenance, our calculated maintenance from using our calculations, or may start in a little bit of a deficit just to get fat loss moving a little bit more as well. But point here is we have a starting point. So let's work off 3,200 calories for myself. I'm about 100 kilos, right? And you do have to take in factor lifestyle factors and all that, which can influence how much or how low calories you're going to start with. But once again, simply think of it the amount of food. So we're going to start with this amount of food. Now, for the first 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to see what that amount of food does. Now, we may find that we drop a fair amount of weight pretty quickly, which could include gut volume, losing some body mass of water. Obviously, we may get some body fat loss as well. But we hold it for 2 to 3 weeks, and then from there, we can see more of a predictable trend, and we can work from that trend. So let's say I was 100 kilos, week 1, week 2, I went down to 99, and simply in week 3, I went down to, let's say, 98 kilos. Nice and simple, 1 kilo loss each week. All right, now from here, we can make some adjustments. If we hold on that line, our body, once again, our metabolism is going to adapt to that specific amount of food. Now, you need to take in consideration with this as well all the other variables that can influence body composition and this baseline tracked, and not only tracked, but executed in a specific manner to make this work. What I mean by that is your sleep needs to be consistent. Your digestion needs to be consistent. Your steps need to be consistent. Behaviors need to be consistent. There's many factors that you need to be aware of to make sure this can work, okay? And not only that, the type of training you're doing as well. Like we use specific hypertrophy methods, strength methods, and have an amount of time that you're going to use with those exercises, with those mesocycles, periodization, to make sure that you are improving yourself in those movements. We're getting more lean body mass capabilities due to stimulating the muscle in a specific way. Whereas if you're doing things like group classes, boot camps that are changing the stimulus often, sometimes it'll be harder to make this more predictable. Okay, you'll hear me say it all the time, we're looking for a predictable outcome. That way we can make better decisions. Predictable outcomes are always going to be best. When we're looking, so you need to make sure all those things are going to be tracked, measured, and then you once again can make better decisions from there. But let's come back to here. Now I've dropped down to 98 kilos. Now in this week here, in the 4th week, we can make some adjustments because we haven't plateaued so far, okay? Now you may be using other measurements like skin folds or body tape too, but we may make a raise now because we want to find the point where we do plateau. So let's just use simple numbers here. We raise it by 10-ish%. Let's just say it's 300 calories. All right, so we go to 3,500 calories as our baseline in week 4. All right, now we're going to hold that for a week. And what we're going to do is see what that does. Now remember, we're improving our strength in the gym, we're building more muscle in the gym. That's going to raise your metabolic rate as well. So we're trying to ride that wave. So let's say in week 4, at the end of it, we drop down to 97.5 kilos. Cool, and if you're using other measurements, your navels come down or skin folds have come down, some tens come down, we have lost body fat, okay? Then we can go, okay, we haven't found the point where we plateau yet. Let's raise it up again. All right, another 10%, let's just say, easy numbers, let's go 3,800 calories. All right, now it'll be 3,850, but I'm just rounding it off. So 3,800 calories. Now, that'll be week 5. Let's say in week 5, and I'm just using scale weight, but you would use other markers like photos and that as well, because we don't hinge success solely off scale weight. But let's say that goes to, holds, 97.5, your navel holds, everything holds. Now you can make a decision here because it seems that we've plateaued in our body fat loss at 3,800 calories with what we're doing. Now you need to make sure all your other variables are in check, your sleep, digestion, stress, behaviors, output, everything needs to be in check before you can make the best decision moving forward. But let's say everything is, all right, you may hold that for 1 or 2 weeks, all right? So if we hold it for 2 weeks, let's say in week 6, we find that we're exactly the same, well, we can say for this time being, and it may change in the future, do understand that, but for this time being, we have found what's close to be our maintenance. We've plateaued in our body fat loss, all right? Now, once again, I did say at this level, it's important to find so you can work from. Like you can now, if you want to build, right, a pure building phase where we're limiting excess body fat, you can come beyond that mark, all right? If your goal is fat loss, you can go below that mark, okay, in a pure cutting phase. But it gives you a reference point to work with, all right? And it's as close to our actual as it can be. Whereas if we just stayed where we started from, our body will adapt to that. Now you're going to have much more energy at this higher level. You're going to have more lean body mass, more strength, like I said, more vitality. As you're coming down as well, you have much more room to come down with those calories before we hit a point where it's just too low, okay? And a good marker, like they say, is that you can still build muscle coming down in a deficit. You know, they usually throw around 20%. So 20% below your maintenance marker, you can still build muscle and lose fat. All right, so from this point, we can work from, make decisions with, and once again, you will have a better looking physique than just staying aggressively in a deficit over time. This is also a reference point you can always come back to with diet breaks, like you may hold it 1 week, 2 weeks coming up at maintenance to decrease stress, help your metabolism a little bit more. You can come up to this marker because once again, you have predicted as close to an actual marker that you can use. These techniques need to be earned. You need a good nutrition literacy. You need to follow the plan. You need to have a good plan with your training and be aware of the lifestyle factors that can negatively or positively influence this. So for some, this may be overkill to do. They may be needing to learn the behaviors, learn how to do it. But if you've got the right nutrition literacy, the right setup, and you're committed to your own program, this will really actually improve your physique, right? It really will. It'll limit plateau. It'll once again build more lean body mass, have more energy, and give you a much better transformation. It's a good technique to use. Metabolic building phase, we just call it, or an actual maintenance finding phase. Instead of just hitting a mark and working from that mark, with calculations, here we're looking at it in real life, in the trenches, to seeing what your actual maintenance is. So hopefully you get some value out of that, guys. This is just one of many nutrition techniques. I mean, you can just make a calculation and start in a deficit from there and work from there. But this is just one technique that will improve your physique progress over time. Which at the end of the day, that's what we do. We want to maximize, what we have, and especially if we're putting time into it. So for those that do want to maximize their time with what you're doing with your physique and do want the best transformation, this may be one technique you use with the amount of food to manipulate it to produce a better physique. And once again, I haven't broken down macros or anything like that in this video. Just understand it's the amount of food coming up, finding actual maintenance. From that point, you can work from whether it's coming below or coming back up, whatever goal it is, whether it's fat loss or a pure building phase. So thank you for tuning in. For any coaching inquiries, you can head to our website, www.mindperformancehealth.com.au, or if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. Or if you request any other videos too, we can run through that. So thanks, guys. Hope you have a great day and speak to you soon.